I have the second block from my Christmas quilt along ready to go. It's the tree, and I love the low volume nature of the fabrics I chose. They're all fossil fern fabrics, and it just looks really, I don't know, warm and comfortable and very, very winter to me. So I'm really happy about this. I was thinking about an all-over quilting design that would look good with trees. So I was thinking of stitching zigzags up and down the quilt, which will end up being chevrons over the entire quilt, or in this case, chevrons on just one placemat. Now, what I can do is I can mark the lines, or I can use a stencil. This is a 2-inch grid stencil from Full Line Stencils, and I'm going to mark squares all over my quilt. I am using a blue Pounce Pad, so I can get the pounce going and start swiping across it. You don't tap it, you swipe it. I'm using blue because it'll show up better on the camera. I could probably get white to work at home and be able to see the contrast. I am going to quilt using a ruler against the foot of my machine. Now, this is a Handi Quilter stationary long arm machine, and I have a shoer foot on here, which is great for quilting with rulers. I can put the ruler right next to the foot, and it works great. If you're doing this on a home sewing machine, definitely check with your manufacturer for the right foot and for instructions and the right size ruler and everything. I'm starting with the needle in the corner of where the blue lines meet. And this is a 2-inch square. My placemat is an odd size, so my zigzags are going to run off a little bit, and I'm perfectly okay with that. It's a placemat. We're good. So I'm using the same stone thread with the dove gray bobbin thread as I did on the first placemat. Now, when I stitch with a ruler against the foot of my machine, I start with my needle in the corner, and I put the ruler next to the foot, and I rotate it, not so that it covers and hits the corner, but so that it's a 1/4 inch away. Now, I've trained my eye as a quilter to see that 1/4 inch, but there's a couple different ways that you can double check that. One, I can use an extra marking on the ruler. This ruler has a tab and a little marking here. I also have a little Dritz tool that has a little 1/4 inch mark on here, so I can put that on the intersection and rotate it. This is a handy little tool. It also has 3/8, 1/2, and 5/8 of an inch. It's kind of your seam distance marker. Now I have ruler grip on the bottom of my ruler. It's called Handi Grip, and what it does, I can put it on the ruler, and the ruler pushes the fabric. If I don't have that grip on there, the ruler slides on the fabric. So I'm going to stitch it's kind of like rotary cutting, that I am stitching with my hand on the ruler, like you do for rotary cutting, and the machine would be the blade. So I'm pushing it against the ruler. I'm pushing it in the direction it wants to go, and the direction I'm going to be stitching. So I'm going to turn the corner and stitch again. And I can turn the corner and stitch again. Now, I like using a ruler for this much better than I like stitching with a walking foot, because I have to rotate the fabric each time, and on a placemat that's not so bad, but on a big quilt it's really, really uncomfortable after a while. It's a lot of upper body work. I like just moving a ruler. It's much simpler. there I've run right off the edge of the quilt. Now, since this is a Handi Quilter stationary machine, I can go left to right, up to down. I have plenty of room to work on this. There's a couple things I can do to do the second row. I can stitch corner to corner of those markings again, or I can find where that mark would be, like line it up again. Then I can look on my ruler to see which of these lines lines with my previously stitched line, and I can measure that way, which is kind of cool. You've got options on how to stitch. A lot of my rulers have washi tape or stickers on them to mark my stitch location. Now, in stitching with rulers on a stationary machine, I can use my left hand or my right hand for the ruler. It doesn't matter. I am limiting myself to my right hand so that you can see without my hand being in the way. But it can go. You can stitch with either hand or both hands if it's comfortable. Now that I've stitched all the way to one side, on a home machine I would reverse it so that I don't have the entire quilt getting stuck inside my machine. On this machine I can keep going in any direction I like. I have tons of space. This is super quick, super fun. The placemat was done in a matter of a couple minutes. I can do an entire quilt pretty quickly with this same technique. Now, if it is already pieced and has a lot of squares in it, I don't need to mark any of those squares. I can just go corner to corner of the squares. But if I do need to mark something, I can either get a stencil diagonal, or I can just mark it all over with an easy square stencil that I have, and stitch from corner to corner. So I will bind this, and block number 2 is done.